How's it going, everybody? It's Riley's Redzone here, and in today's video, I will be predicting the result of every week 10 NFL game, as well as we have the picks from Charlie this week. I'm hopefully going to have a guest picker on every week for the remainder of the season. I'm going to try to shuffle in some different opinions, which I think is a good opportunity to see what kind of the general public census is in a lot of these games, as we actually had quite a bit of differentiation here in the pick. So I'm going to break down what that is in this video. And as you can see on the bottom, to keep track of that, any pick in green was unanimous from both of us. Any pick in purple is me, and any pick in blue is Charlie. And you'll also see the underdog symbol, which I normally signify as when I pick an underdog. But what ended up happening this week is it kind of worked out well. All of the unanimous picks were favorites. So if we picked the same team, it ended up being a favorite. But for the other matchups, we have some other underdog picks. So I kind of put whoever picked the underdog, put that symbol next to them. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into this video. I'm also going to say we're going to start with what happened on Thursday. I did not get picks at that time for the guest picker, so we're not going to count that in the overall record. For the guest pickers, I'm going to keep track of the overall record, maybe each individual person's record, but for that one, we're not counting this Thursday's game. But as seen on my Twitter, the Panthers ended up getting the win, and we do get a point there for that pick. The Falcons, I think, will need to turn to Desmond Ridder soon here. Mariota has just not been quite performing to an accurate level, and I don't think that they are really fighting for a playoff spot. But the thing is, Ritter's ready to go. He was the first quarterback I watched in that class last year, and he is a low ceiling player who I didn't love as a prospect compared to some other people. I saw him kind of as maybe a fourth round prospect because of the lack of upside, but he's got some mobility. I think has a lot of confidence in the pocket. So he really could jump right in there. So for next week, I'm going to say that's what they start to do. But let's focus on the rest of the picks for this week. And it starts right off the bat with a disagreement. Charlie is going with the Seahawks, who are the underdog in this matchup by 2.5 points. And I will say this: it is not a home game for the Bucks actually, because it is overseas, over in Europe. So I think that this will be a very close game, as the line suggests. Going into this weekend, it was one of the games I was a little bit questionable on, but I'm going to go with the Bucks. I think they're going to turn this season around. Not quite to the level, I don't think they'll end where they have compared to the last few seasons. But I think that given how poorly they've maybe started, I think they will have a significant bounce back. So I'm going with the Bucks there. I think Brady will get it done. Seahawks, though, have been rolling. And so Charlie's going to go with them there. That should be a close one to figure out what happens. But then we have a stretch of 4 straight agreements. We have the Giants over the Texans. Dameon Pierce is doing really well. I have him in a few leagues, and he's performing really well. I'd love to see it. But the Giants are actually doing very, very well this year. Danny Dimes is playing at a solid level. We got Saquon going on that offense. I got to go with the Giants as well. I think that this is an interesting one, that the Texans don't have the best record. I don't think they'll end with the best record. But they have some pieces that will be good for the future. But for now, I think I have to go with the Giants there. And then the Chiefs-Jaguars. I'm going with the Chiefs here. They got Patrick Mahomes, who is playing right now, I would say, the best football for a quarterback. And the Jaguars have been struggling a bit. They did pull off the win last week, which luckily gave me a nice upset in that pick last week. But, the Chiefs are just playing really, really well. And I think that they have everything rolling, even after losing Tyreek Hill. Juju's performing relatively well, but they can run that offense through Kelsey. So I'm going with the Chiefs, and so is Charlie. And then for the Dolphins and Browns, it's another similar situation. I think Jacoby's been all right for a bridge quarterback here. We'll see what happens when Deshaun gets back there. I imagine he will be rusty. It's interesting that he gets back to play this year, uh, and being out that long, I think he is probably going to be rusty. But for now, they don't have him, and the Dolphins are playing really well. That's to put it simple. The Dolphins right now are just red hot on offense, and Tyreek Hill is putting up some video game numbers. And Tua is performing like a solid NFL quarterback right now. As a fellow lefty, I love to see it. They just really are performing up to a really high level. And we have a number of teams. I'd say the Giants are like that. Maybe the Seahawks, maybe the Vikings. A lot of teams that on paper you wouldn't think would be as good as they are record-wise, but they are playing like it, and they deserve to be where they are. So we're both going with the Dolphins there. They're favored by 3.5. Interesting. I think if they do win, I think the Dolphins would win by more than that. But the Broncos-Titans. The Titans don't quite come up with the win last week against the Chiefs. Malik Willis started. And they just need a little bit of help from the receivers. But and I knew what Malik Willis was going into this year's draft. I had him as the QB3. I like his upside, and for that reason, I could totally understand a team taking him as the number one QB. I mean, if I was the Falcons, I still would have taken a shot on Willis, just because of the upside, as in the third round there. But even I think as just the highest upside, I think he has it. He's got the mobility, just needs to work on the accuracy a little bit. But I'm gonna go with, no matter who the quarterback is, I'm gonna go with them over the Broncos. I think the Broncos have been up and down. I really considered flipping this, but I think that the Titans have enough with Derrick Henry on the ground to get this rolling. So I think this could be a close game, but I'm going to go with the Titans here when we both are in agreement on that. But then we get a disagreement, and my pick all week, my upset of the week really is I've been rolling with the Vikings this whole week. Then it comes out today, Josh Allen is going to start. My whole point of picking it was that Josh Allen wasn't going to play. But I'm still going to say that he might be a little rusty, or they might use him a little lightly if he is with this injury here. I'm shocked that they're playing him, just because I would value the rest of the season. I know you're a Super Bowl contender. You are on paper the best team in the league. I would have played it a little safe here, but they're not. So the line, rises up what I'm looking at right now to 6.5. It's been all over the board this week. Started around this, then it went down to as low as 3.5, and now it's back up to 6.5 with Josh Allen. Understandably so, but I'm still going to take the chance here. This is a risky pick, but I'm going to take the Vikings over the Bills. So now we both have one upset pick at this point. But I think the Vikings have been performing at a good level offensively, and they can do enough on defense. Harrison Smith is getting some interceptions for a few weeks in a row. I just think it comes down to, I think Buffalo has a lot to offer, but this is not quite the week. And if I'm the Bills, I'm willing to sacrifice a bit of this week to keep my quarterback healthy. So I'm going to go with the Vikings there just because of the health of Josh Allen. Otherwise, I would probably pick the Bills easily. But Charlie is doing that, and it makes sense too, for sure. I just am not going to flip my pick this late in the week, even though it might make sense to. But I'm going to stick with my gut here and go with the Vikings. Lions-Bears should be a very interesting game. We got a division game. We have disagreement here. And I totally can see it. I think these two teams are around the same level. The Bears just, I think, personally, have been playing. Justin Fields has been playing at a really good level over these last few weeks. It's tough though, because the Lions, I've been a fan of what they've been doing for the last few years, and they just always end up so close. And this is a textbook game that I could see them winning 100% after they pull off the upset against the Packers. It makes sense to see them keep it rolling, but I just think Justin Fields is playing really good right now. So I'm going to roll with that. But this game, I think, will be down to the wire. And I do see that as right now, Lions 3. Yeah, I think that this is like a field goal level game. I can totally see that. So that one's going to go either way. That might be one of my least confident picks of this week, but I'm going to go with the Bears. Charlie is going with the Lions. Next game, similar situation. I'm really torn here. Charlie's going with the Saints. And this makes sense. They are favored by a single point. This is a close game. I don't think either of these teams have been performing at a very high level this season. But the Saints are a little bit safer pick. But the Steelers, I'm going to go with here in an upset. And this is probably my, if I had to rank my least confident pick, I'm saying this one. I think it's going to come down to the reason I'm picking this is TJ Watt. Let's be honest here. Kenny Pickett has not been playing very well. I was not a huge fan of him coming out of draft this year. I believe I had him as the QB4. I just, and rookies struggle at quarterback, but he's not been playing good. But that being said, I think that TJ Watt, even though Minkah Fitzpatrick today was ruled out, I think that TJ Watt brings a lot to this defense. I think that they will get a spark that they haven't had over the last few weeks here. But I think that the Steelers, for that reason, can pull it off. So I'm going to go with that. They're in a very close upset. Once again, the line is only 1 point. It's a coin toss. Could go either way. But I'm going to go with the Steelers because of TJ Watt, but totally could go either way. And then this next pick is all feeling. This is another risky one. The Raiders are favored by 4 points, and that is who Charlie is going with. Very interesting. The Raiders have not been doing very well this season, but a team you can easily, debatably say has been doing a lot worse is the Colts. And of course, they make the very interesting hire this week for their head coaching position. Yeah, it's a shocker for sure. But I actually really like the way that Jeff Saturday responded in the press conference personally. I'm once again not going to, I'm going to kind of be with the public. I'm not going to necessarily go out and saying like, phenomenal hire. It kind of came out of nowhere, but I'll say this. I'm not going to doubt that they can make something work this year. And I'm also, I really like what Jeff Saturday handled it with, and I think that will give some confidence. Now, it's a question of whether flukes happen or repeats happen, because a few weeks ago, after the Panthers fired Matt Rule, I was this close to picking the Panthers over the Bucks. I literally said in that video, if the Bucks did not lose that few weeks before, I was going to go with the Panthers there. Panthers ended up winning that game. And so I'm saying an interim head coach, I believe this happened, when was it? A few years ago too with the Texans. I believe it was the first or second game with Romeo Crennel as an interim head coach. Sometimes an interim head coach, just for whatever reason, sparks something the week you get there. Still unsure about the quarterback situation, but I'm going to go with the Colts here in an upset. Just kind of a feeling matchup. I think they can bring something they haven't had in a little bit. So I'm going to go with them there. But Charlie's got the Raiders, and that's a good pick also. I think this could be either way. I'm taking a huge risk here in this pick. Then the Cowboys-Packers. The Cowboys have easily been performing better overall this season, and Charlie's going to go that direction. I did see a stat, though, that the Packers have been handling the Cowboys really well, specifically at Lambeau Field. But I think at some point the Packers are going to bounce back. As someone who's, an NFC North fan, I've just seen the Packers really come back and do things that you don't expect them to. And I just think that maybe they are finally just not good, but until number 12 retires, I don't think I'm going to be able to say that. Same with Brady, but, both 12s. I can't say that. So I'm going to go with the Packers here. I think this would be a huge win for them on their season. But I just think Rodgers still has enough in the tank to get this done. So I'm going to go that direction. But, the Cowboys are favored by 4. I think that'll be a great game. Probably going to be Fox's game of the week. I think this will be an interesting one. Rams Cardinals. Another interesting one. I'm taking a risk here. Same thing. I think just the Rams have to bounce back at some point here. They, were close last week, but I'm going to go with the Rams. The Cardinals just have been losing. At some point, they probably are going to bounce back, but I just quite yet can't have the confidence after I've kind of been bitten a few times thinking they will pull it off. I can't pick them until they really get a good win to prove that. And the Rams, I just think, have too much experience. That's why I'm going to go that direction. But Charlie is going with the Cardinals here. A nice little upset pick. Like, once again, they have to it has to happen at some point for that, to really occur. But I think that they just haven't quite shown it yet for me. And so I can totally understand that pick, though. Actually, I noticed in the graphic, if you flip those two, you can flip the underdog symbol to the Cardinals. Then the last two are unanimous. We both got the Niners and the Chargers. I was actually close on that one. I just think, once again, having the receivers out is disappointing for the Chargers. And overall, they've been a pretty big disappointment this season, specifically with Herbert, just because he hasn't had anyone to throw the ball to for most of the weeks. So that's unfortunate, and I think that the Niners know how to use McCaffrey, and I think that's a huge X factor for them. So I'm going to go with them there. Charlie's in agreement on that one. It's a 7.5 line. I'm going to definitely say that won't happen, but could. Then Eagles Commanders, probably in my opinion the easiest game to pick, but this might end up not happening. Like, the Eagles have to lose at some point. But right now I got to go with the Eagles. They just are the safe pick. To me, it's the safest pick this week. But that's gonna do it for this week. We do have, what was it? I believe 7 games that we disagreed upon, and that will make a huge difference in the standings. Figuratively, because of this. Now that I think about it, I think it's gonna be interesting to see that what happens. I think it will make it either we're both going to be like the same record, or there will be a bigger gap of somebody, But I like throwing this in here, to just get some more opinions. And once again, if you were looking to potentially join the show, we also, might do some video type of stuff with guest picks. But for now, we have Charlie's picks for the week as well. So we'll see a week from now whether, what the results were. So I appreciate you watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.